The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before the sleek silver vessel belonging to the Valith. Its surface shimmered faintly as it hovered above Earth's atmosphere, a silent observer in the cosmic dance of planets and stars. Inside, Commander Solaric stood on the observation deck, his 6 crystalline eyes scanning the readings pouring in from their advanced probes. The data was unlike anything they had encountered before, chaotic, unpredictable, and strangely compelling. This species is unusual, Solaric murmured, his voice low and resonant. Around him, the crew buzzed with quiet activity, each member focused on analyzing the strange world below. Humanity, as they called themselves, appeared primitive at first glance. Their technology was rudimentary compared to the Valith's own advancements, yet there was something about them that intrigued the explorers. Something unsettling. Scientist Lyra moved gracefully across the room, her slender frame illuminated by holographic displays. She adjusted a control panel, zooming in on one of the images captured by their drones. "Look at this," she said, gesturing for Solaric to join her. On the screen was a bustling cityscape, a maze of towering structures, crowded streets, and glowing lights. It was a marvel of ingenuity, but beneath its surface lay scars of conflict. Craters marked the landscape. Where bombs had once exploded, ruins stood as silent witnesses to battles long past. Solaric tilted his head, studying the image intently. "They rebuild," he noted, his tone thoughtful. "Even after destruction, they rise again." "Yes," Lyra replied, her voice tinged with both admiration and concern. "But why do they destroy in the first place? Most species evolve toward cooperation. These humans seem obsessed with division, with fighting." Her words hung heavy in the air. The Valith were a peaceful race, dedicated to understanding the universe without interfering in its natural processes. They traveled the cosmos as observers, cataloging life forms and civilizations, always careful not to disrupt their growth. But humanity defied every expectation. As Lyra delved deeper into Earth's history, she uncovered patterns that chilled her to her core. A history written in blood, Lyra spent hours poring over ancient texts, videos, and artifacts collected by their probes. What she discovered painted a grim picture. Humanity's story was one of endless conflict, from the earliest days of tribal warfare to the global-scale devastation of modern times. Violence permeated every era. Wars erupted over land resources, ideologies, and even beliefs. Entire populations were wiped out in the name of conquest or revenge. She showed Solaric a series of images, men wielding swords and shields, charging into battle, armies marching across fields littered with bodies, tanks rolling through smoking, ruins, nuclear explosions lighting up the sky like second suns. Each scene was more horrifying than the last. Yet what struck Lyra most was how humanity glorified these acts. Their art celebrated warriors. Their stories immortalized heroes who triumphed through bloodshed. Even their games simulated combat, teaching children to strategize and conquer. "It's not just behavior," Lyra explained during a briefing with the senior crew. "It's ingrained in their culture. War isn't an anomaly. It's central to who they are." Warrior Zyron, a burly Valith with a reputation for caution, leaned forward. "Then we should leave immediately. If they're so prone to violence, they could pose a threat to us and to others." Solaric raised a hand to silence him. "We don't know enough yet. Let's gather more data before making assumptions." Lyra nodded in agreement. "There's more to them than just aggression. They've also created incredible works of art, music, and science. They've explored their planet, cured diseases, and reached for the stars. There's potential here, both for good and for harm." Biological predisposition to better understand humanity. Lyra turned to biology. Using genetic samples retrieved by their drones, she conducted a detailed analysis of human DNA. What she found shocked even her. Humans weren't simply aggressive. They were biologically engineered for it. "They adapt too quickly," she told Solaric during a private meeting. "Their adrenal systems respond almost instantly to stress, giving them bursts of energy and focus. Their brains release chemicals that reward aggression and competition, and their social structures encourage group loyalty, which can easily spiral into tribalism. Silurix frowned. That level of specialization doesn't happen by chance. Natural evolution wouldn't produce such extreme traits unless someone intervened. Lyra hesitated, then nodded. Exactly. Someone, or something, shaped them this way. But who? And why? The question lingered unanswered. For now, all they could do was continue observing. Yet the implications weighed heavily on the crew. If humans were indeed designed for war, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? Could such a volatile species coexist peacefully with others? Or would their nature inevitably lead them to spread destruction beyond their home planet? Conflict within the crew. As the days passed, tensions rose among the Velith. Some, like Zyron, argued that humanity represented a clear and present danger. We can't wait until they develop interstellar travel, he insisted during another heated debate. By then, it might be too late. We need to act now, neutralize the threat while we still can. Others, including Lyra, believed that intervention would only make things worse. If we attack them, we confirm their worst fears, she countered. They'll see us as invaders and rally against us. Besides, we don't fully understand them yet. Maybe there's hope for change. Celerix listened to both sides, torn between duty and morality. As commander, his responsibility was to protect his people. But how far was he willing to go? Destroying an entire species went against everything the Velith stood for. Yet doing nothing carried its own risks. Before he could reach a decision, disaster struck. The probe incident, one of the Velith's reconnaissance probes, malfunctioned during a routine scan. Instead of returning to the ship, it plummeted toward Earth, crashing near a military base in a remote desert. Within hours, human soldiers swarmed the site, recovering pieces of the wreckage. Back aboard the ship, the crew watched in horror as surveillance footage showed humans dismantling the probe. Tools sparked against alien alloys, exposing circuits and mechanisms never meant to be seen by outsiders. Scientists pored over the fragments, sketching diagrams and running tests. By the end of the day, they had already begun reverse engineering. The technology. They'll figure it out, Zyron growled, and when they do, they'll use it against us. Lyra shook her head. Not necessarily. Knowledge doesn't have to lead to destruction. They might choose a different path. But doubt crept into her mind. She had seen humanity's capacity for innovation and for weaponization. Would they wield this newfound power responsibly? Or would they follow the same destructive patterns that defined their history? A turning point, days, turned into weeks. The Velith monitored Earth closely, tracking humanity's progress. To their dismay, the humans worked tirelessly, piecing together alien tech with alarming speed. Missiles grew larger, weapons became deadlier, military bases expanded, preparing for a war that hadn't even begun. Commander Celerix called another meeting. We can't stay hidden forever, he said. Eventually they'll find us. When that happens, we need to decide. Will we fight or will we try to communicate? The room fell silent. Every eye turned to Lyra, who stepped forward. Let me talk to them, she said firmly. If anyone can bridge the gap between our species, it's me. Give me a chance to explain who we are and why we're here. Ziran snorted. And if they attack you, what then? Lyra met his gaze unflinchingly. Then I'll accept the consequences, but we owe it to ourselves and to them to try. Silurix considered her proposal. It was risky, but perhaps necessary. Humanity's fate, and possibly the fate of countless other civilizations, depended on what happened next. As the Velith prepared for first contact, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of a precipice. One wrong move could plunge them into chaos, or reveal a glimmer of hope. Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. The crash of the Velith probe near the human military base marked the beginning of a chain reaction that neither species could have anticipated. For humanity, it was both a mystery and an opportunity, a chance to unlock technologies far beyond their current understanding. For the Valith, it was a moment of reckoning. Their presence on Earth was no longer a secret, and the consequences were already spiraling out of control. Humanity's response back on Earth, the discovery of alien technology, sent shockwaves through governments, militaries, and scientific communities. News of the crashed probe spread like wildfire, though details remained classified. Conspiracy theories erupted online, fueled by blurry photos and cryptic government statements. Some claimed the aliens were invaders preparing for war. Others believed they were saviors bringing advanced knowledge to uplift humanity. But one thing was clear. Whatever these beings were, they had arrived with secrets, and humans intended to uncover them. At the heart of the operation was Dr. Elena Vasquez, a brilliant astrophysicist working under the United Nations Space Research Initiative, UNSR. She stood in a sterile laboratory surrounded by fragments of the alien craft, her hands trembling as she examined its intricate design. The material defied known physics, lightweight yet indestructible, glowing faintly with an energy source humanity couldn't replicate. Every piece seemed alive, responding subtly to touch or proximity. "This isn't just machinery," Elena whispered to herself, running her fingers over a shard of the probe. "It's intelligent." Her colleagues nodded grimly. They had already begun reverse engineering components, piecing together rudimentary versions of alien tech. Weapons systems underwent rapid upgrades, powered by energy sources derived from the probe's core. Missiles became faster, shields more resilient, and communication devices capable of transmitting signals across vast distances. Humanity wasn't just learning from the aliens, they were weaponizing their discoveries. But not everyone shared Elena's awe, or her caution. General Marcus Kane, head of UNSR's Defense Division, saw the probe as proof of an imminent threat. "If they're watching us, they're planning something," he barked during a high-level briefing. "We need to strike first, hit them hard before they hit us." Elena tried to argue against such paranoia. "We don't even know if they're hostile. What if this is all a misunderstanding?" Kane silenced her with a glare. "Misunderstandings? Get people killed, Doctor. We're not taking chances." As weeks passed, Earth transformed into an armed camp. Nations abandoned diplomacy in favor of militarization, pouring resources into space programs aimed at defending or attacking the unknown. Satellites bristled with weapons. Fleets of experimental spacecraft took shape in orbit. And somewhere, deep in space, the Valith watched in growing alarm as humanity prepared for war. Divisions among the Valith aboard their ship, the Valith grappled with their own internal conflicts. Commander Silarix called an emergency council meeting to address the escalating situation. The chamber buzzed with tension as crew members debated their next move. Warrior Zirin slammed his fist onto the table, his voice booming. "They've seen our technology. They'll use it against us. We should destroy their fleets before they grow stronger." Scientist Lyra stepped forward, her expression calm but resolute. "Destroying them won't solve anything. It will only confirm their fears that we're invaders. If we attack, we become what they already suspect." Silarix raised a hand to quiet the room. His gaze swept over the assembled crew, searching for clarity amidst the chaos. "We came here seeking knowledge, not conflict. But now..." He trailed, off staring at holographic projections of Earth's expanding armada. "Now we face a choice. Fight or flee, but either way we cannot remain passive." Before a decision could be reached, another revelation shook the Valith to their core. Deep within their archives, buried beneath layers of forgotten history, Lyra uncovered a truth so shocking that it fractured their unity further. The forgotten experiment. Lyra spent sleepless cycles poring over ancient records, driven by a nagging suspicion that humanity's origins were tied to the Valith's past. Her efforts paid off when she stumbled upon a classified document labeled Project Guardian. The contents made her blood run cold. Thousands of years ago, the Valith's ancestors had embarked on an ambitious experiment, creating the perfect soldier. Using genetic engineering, they designed beings capable of unparalleled strength, resilience, and adaptability. These creatures were meant to serve as protectors, guardians of peace in a volatile universe. But the project failed spectacularly. The test subjects proved too aggressive, too unpredictable. Fearing the consequences, the Valeth abandoned the experiment, sealing away all evidence of its existence. Or so they thought. Lyra stared at the data, her mind racing. The genetic markers matched perfectly with human DNA. Humans weren't just a random species, they were descendants of the failed experiment. Over millennia they had evolved, spreading across Earth and developing their own cultures. But the traits engineered into them remained, manifesting as their relentless drive toward competition and conflict. She presented her findings to the council, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "Humans are not our enemies," she said. "They're our legacy, our mistake, and now, because of us, they're preparing to wage war." The room erupted into chaos. Some crew members recoiled in horror at the idea of being responsible for humanity's violent nature. Others, like Zyron, saw it as justification for preemptive action. "If they're our creation, then they're our responsibility," he growled. "And if they pose a threat, we eliminate them." Silarix listened silently, his 6 eyes reflecting the turmoil within him. How could they reconcile their ideals of non-interference with the reality unfolding before them? Were they truly willing to let humanity destroy itself or worse, endanger others? First Contact, determined to prevent catastrophe, Lyra took matters into her own hands. Against orders, she initiated contact with Dr. Elena Vasquez, using encrypted signals to bypass Earth's defenses. The message was simple but urgent. "We mean you no harm. Please stop escalating your weapons. You are stronger than you realize, but also more fragile." Elena received the transmission late one night, her heart pounding as she decoded the alien script. She recognized the language immediately. It matched patterns found in the probe's data. This was real. Aliens were reaching out to her. Trembling, she responded, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Lyra's reply came swiftly. "We are explorers, like you. We seek understanding, not conflict. But your actions suggest otherwise. You prepare for war without knowing who or what you fight." Over the next few days, Elena and Lyra exchanged messages, forging a fragile bond of trust. Through their conversations, Elena learned about the Valeth's peaceful mission and their accidental discovery of humanity's violent tendencies. In turn, Lyra gained insight into humanity's complexity, their capacity for creativity, compassion, and cooperation alongside their darker impulses, but their dialogue did not go unnoticed. Intelligence agencies intercepted fragments of the communication, twisting Lyra's words into warnings of invasion. Panic swept across Earth, fueling even greater militarization. General Kane declared martial law, vowing to protect humanity from alien threats. When Elena tried to explain the truth, she was branded a traitor. Soldiers stormed her lab, confiscating her notes and placing her under house arrest. Meanwhile, the Valeth detected massive fleets assembling in Earth's orbit. Humanity wasn't waiting any longer. They were coming for them. A fragile alliance. Despite the mounting hostility, small pockets of collaboration began to emerge. A group of rogue scientists, inspired by Elena's courage, reached out to sympathetic members of the Valeth crew. Together, they formed a secret alliance, determined to uncover the full truth about humanity's origins. Using combined knowledge, they hacked into hidden databases left behind by the creators of Project Guardian. What they found changed everything. The original designers hadn't envisioned humans as tools of war. Instead, they imagined them as guardians of peace, beings capable of bridging divides and fostering harmony among species. Something had gone wrong during the experiment, corrupting their purpose and leaving them trapped in cycles of violence. The database also contained blueprints for a device capable of dismantling Earth's deadliest weapons. Dubbed the Harmonizer, it harnessed the same energy source as the probe, neutralizing aggression and promoting cooperation. It was a chance to reset humanity's path, but time was running out. As tensions reached a boiling point, the stage, was set for an inevitable confrontation. Would humanity embrace the possibility of change, or would they succumb to their instincts for destruction? And could the Velith find a way to guide them toward redemption without sacrificing their own principles? The void of space erupted in chaos as humanity's fleet surged toward the Velith vessel, weapons blazing. Ships streaked across the blackness like comets, their engines leaving trails of fire against the endless night. Missiles screamed through the vacuum, aimed at the sleek silver hull of the alien ship. But the Velith were not defenseless. Their shields shimmered with an otherworldly glow, absorbing the barrage of attacks. Energy beams lashed out from the ship, disabling human vessels without destroying them, a final attempt to avoid bloodshed. Yet for every ship neutralized, two more took its place. Humanity was relentless, driven by fear and fury. Inside the Velith command center, Commander Solaric stood resolute, his 6 eyes scanning the battlefield. "They won't listen," he muttered, his voice heavy with sorrow. "Even now they refuse to see." Warrior Zyron clenched his fists, his frustration boiling over. "We should have struck first. Now look what's happened." Lyra remained calm, though her heart ached. She had tried to prevent this, tried to bridge the gap between their species, but mistrust had poisoned everything. Still, she refused to give up hope. Somewhere amidst the carnage there were humans who understood. Humans who wanted peace. As explosions lit up the darkness, the rogue alliance of scientists worked feverishly aboard a hidden human station. Dr. Elena Vasquez coordinated with Zynar, a sympathetic Velith engineer, to activate the harmonizer. If they could deploy it in time, it might halt the battle and open a path to reconciliation. But time was slipping away. A sacrifice for peace amid the chaos. A critical moment unfolded. A squadron of human fighters broke through the Velith defenses, targeting a civilian colony stationed nearby. The colony housed families, researchers, and innocent beings who had no part in the conflict. Without hesitation, Commander Solaric made a decision that would change everything. "Redirect power to the colony shield," he ordered. "Protect them at all costs." "But sir," protested one of the crew members, "that will leave us vulnerable." Solaric met their gaze with unwavering resolve. "If we lose today, let it be because we chose compassion over fear." The energy reserves shifted, bolstering the colony's defenses just as the human missiles struck. The blast rocked the ship, sending debris spiraling into space. Alarms blared as systems failed, and smoke filled the corridors. Solaric staggered, to his feet, injured but determined. His final act was to ensure the safety of those who couldn't defend themselves. When news of Solaric's sacrifice reached Earth, it sparked a wave of confusion and guilt. Footage of the selfless act spread across global networks, forcing humanity to confront the reality of their aggression. For the first time, questions arose. Were the aliens truly enemies, or had they been misunderstood? The turning point. With Solaric gone, Lyra assumed command. Her voice crackled over the communication channels, addressing both her crew and humanity. "This is not who you are," she said, her tone firm yet gentle. "You are capable of greatness, of unity. Do not let fear dictate your future." Her words resonated with some, including General Marcus Kane. Haunted by the images of Solaric's sacrifice, Kane began questioning his own motives. Had he misjudged the aliens? Was this war based on paranoia rather than necessity? Meanwhile, Elena and Zynar succeeded in activating the harmonizer. A pulse of golden light radiated outward from their station, enveloping the battlefield. Human soldiers froze mid-action, their aggression fading as the device's energy calmed their minds. Weapons powered down, and ships drifted silently in the void. For a brief moment, silence reigned. Revelations and redemption in the aftermath of the ceasefire, Lyra invited humanity's leaders aboard the Velith vessel. Together with Elena, they revealed the truth about Project Guardian and humanity's origins. The revelation stunned everyone present. Humans weren't simply a product of natural evolution. They were descendants of an ancient experiment gone awry. This explains so much, Elena said softly, tears streaming down her face. Our violence, our creativity, our resilience, it all comes from them. Lyra nodded. And now it is up to you to decide what to do with that legacy. Will you continue down the path of destruction? Or will you embrace the potential within yourselves? The assembled leaders exchanged uneasy glances. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily upon them. Slowly, however, consensus began to form. Humanity had been given a second chance. A chance to rewrite its story. Under the guidance of the Valith and the Rogue Alliance, nations agreed to dismantle their deadliest weapons. Resources once devoted to war were redirected towards science, exploration, and humanitarian efforts. The Harmonizer became a symbol of hope, reminding humanity of the power of cooperation. A new beginning. Months later, a joint fleet launched into the stars, carrying representatives from both species. On board, children of Earth and the Valith mingled freely, sharing stories and laughter. Among them was a young boy named Liam, who approached Lyra with wide-eyed curiosity. "Will we meet others like us?" he asked, pointing to the vast expanse beyond the viewport. Lyra smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Perhaps, but next time we'll greet them as friends." As the fleet sailed deeper into the cosmos, humanity stepped onto the galactic stage, not as conquerors but as learners. They carried with them the lessons of their past and the promise of a brighter future. Together with the Valith, they vowed to explore the universe not as rivals, but as partners united by a shared dream of peace. And somewhere in the infinite expanse of stars, Silurix's spirit watched over them, knowing that his sacrifice had not been in vain.